as you've said before, Britain's attitude towards mental health issues needs radically changing.
Absolutely, yeah.
You talk about being sectioned under the Mental Health Act. That's a dramatic thing, isn't it? That means that you can have your liberty taken away from you without going through a court process.
You can do, yes. I think that Lacey Turner in EastEnders did a wonderful portrayal, and indeed her mother in it portrayed this situation very accurately, because the definitions are, you can't define a human being. We're individuals, and the symptoms of bipolar disorder are sexual promiscuity, dressing kind of strange, spending too much money. Now, that's a rock and roll star right there. That's my job. You know what I mean? But I'm a celebrity, or whatever, I hate the word, but I can go to the Priory and make a bit of a career boost out of it. That can happen. But I'm talking about working people, like my mum and dad, and people going to work who have lost their jobs, lost their family. I don't know, coming back from war, I don't really know. But they're just out of kilter. Suddenly they give up. They just give, and just people notice, and they can't take it anymore. There's only so much you can take, and I think they're not encouraged to actually monitor it and to explain what the pills do to your brain, because they cut off certain. But chemically alters the framework of your brain, and the brain is a very complex.
But here's the thing: if the authorities were to monitor better, sort of working people, regular people,
everybody,
then perhaps more people will be diagnosed with mental health problems. That might mean that more people get antidepressants. Do you think antidepressants work very well for some people?
Absolutely.
Or they do?
I'm not saying that. No, I'd be ignorant to say that. Of course they help me. But I let myself. I think mine personally was the result of not. I believe that it would all end tomorrow, so I worked when I should have had a break. No one was advising me to say have a break. No one was saying no. Should I do another talk? Yeah. Should I do that? Yeah. And I let that happen. That's my fault. But in the first instance, when I was sectioned, I have a problem with the second one, and I'll deal with that in the future. But the first time, I broke the law because someone threatened my daughter.
Was this the incident in Camden?
Yes, someone threatened my daughter.
You threw a car's alternator through a pub window?
Yeah, but I was advised by my psychiatrist not to say why, to actually say it was primarily the reasons that happened in historically that happened at that time were the product of me being in a state called hypomania, where you become so immersed in a crisis, you become very withdrawn. You kind of get very paranoid, and I was living in a film. I literally was living in a film. Now, that's not to say I've got any right to break the law. I did. I went to the Old Bailey Court number 1, which was a surprise for an affray, but there you go. And I paid the price. Now, leave me alone. You know what I mean?
Was that the first time you were sectioned?
That was the first time. This second time I have a problem with.
So that was about 2002, wasn't it? When was the second time?
Second time was more recently, but legally I've been advised not to discuss it in great detail, but that was a situation where I believe that was wrongly done as a result of an incident that took place at a charity concert in Portsmouth, where certain elements of my friends got to my mother, who's a very old lady, and got her to sign me off. If they get to your next of kin and your GP, you can be taken away and your freedom can be taken away.
How did the sectioning happen? So that second time you were arrested, and because you have a history of mental health problems, an assessment is a psychiatrist brought to the police station, an assessment made. How does that work? What happens?
Well, supposing you're acting in I'm not saying this is a general. This is I'm talking about my experience. I can only talk about my experience. I'm up for discussion on this, hopefully, in a public arena, but it can happen, in my view, if, for instance, someone you're behaving erratically, you're out of kilter, you're spending too much money, you're panicking. Instead of going to your GP, a lot of people don't get on with their GP. They take matters into their own hands. They get the pills, they drink with them, they don't follow the instructions, they don't listen to the doctor. So the doctor's into a hiding. So in that condition, you do end up like Lacey Turner in EastEnders, walking around the street, no shoes on, and doing that. You're not sleeping, you see, and it gets crazy. And at that point, a neighbour or anyone can report you. It can go to your next of kin. Once your next of kin is involved in your GP, you don't even have to see the person sectioning you. You can be, 6 o'clock in the morning, hello, we want you to meet your GP, go down there, you're sectioned. You're not going to see your GP, you're going into a mental home and you're not allowed out. And that isn't right.